Okay, hello all you crazy people out there. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. Welcome back to Let's Make a Bullet Hell game. Still getting a little bit of stutter here. Interesting. It only seems to happen when the mouse cursor is in a certain place. Not 100% sure why that is. I'll try and fix that. Anyway, in episode 0, we did a bit of project management. In episode 1, we created a player which can shoot bullets and follow your mouse cursor around and that sort of fun thing. Today, let's deal with enemies. So this is the current state of the project management board. I actually apparently forgot to add a particular card, which is fairly important, which is creating a foe class that derives from entity. Apparently, I just forgot to include that the first time. I don't know why. Anyway, we're going to do that. We're going to create an entity superclass that the player derives from. That should say superclass, not subclass. And then we're going to derive a foe from that. And then we're going to move on towards having bullets damage the enemies. We're going to work on a few things like having enemies damage the player. I think that's also farther down somewhere. Huh, did I forget that too? Huh, I guess some of them were just farther down. I guess I forgot to add the foes damaging the player on contact as well. Anyway, this does not bode well for my project management strategy. This is the complete list of what I want to attempt to get done today. Let's throw player death on there as well. That won't be fancy right now. That'll probably just be a show message box that says you died or something. And lastly, bullets don't affect their other allies. So if two foes shoot each other, then they won't damage each other. And if you run into your own bullets, then you won't take damage. Okay, so let us start with creating an entity superclass that the player derives from. I can create an object. I can call this entity. I can parent this onto entity player. And I can create myself a new thing that is, a new object that is ent foe. And let's give you a sprite. Let's control D duplicate sprite player. And let's call this sprite foe or something like that. These will get a lot fancier later on. Let me color this something like orange. That's not really as orange as I was thinking, but you know what? It'll do. All right, good enough. That's orange. We are going to have a couple of these in the room. These are going to just sit there and sponge bullets. Let's see. Let's go into the room. Let us drag a couple... That's a sprite. No, nope, did not mean to do that. Let us drag a couple foes into here. What? Cancel. Oh, I didn't have it selected as the problem. We'll just have these guys. Let me put a couple in front of each other so that later on I can deal with the friendly fire thing. Okay, and we have different entity types. Is this parented onto? This is not parented onto the ent foe. This needs to be parented to entity. There we go. Okay, that's our hierarchy. Let's see. I guess I can, that really only took a minute. I can complete this, can I? These two. Alright, the next ones are going to be a little bit more complicated. I have actually overestimated the complexity of some of these earlier items, which I hope means that later on, things that are harder will be closer to being accurate as to how much work they are compared to the other items. Anyway, bullets damage entities. This is going to be a bit more. So I'm going to add a general in the entity class. I'm going to add a general self.damage method. This is going to be a function. This is going to be, it's going to take a bullet. Actually, should entities detect when they take bullets from things, or should things detect when they take damage from bullets? I'm gonna say the entities detect when they take damage from bullets because different types of entities might take this very differently. The player, for example, will have iframes. The base version of this is just going to be empty. It won't do anything, but when it comes to, for example, the player, Actually, all right. First, let us event inherited in the player's create event, so we can essentially inherit the constructor, and let us. I should probably make a commit after this as well. In the foe, when it comes to implementing the foe. Okay, you don't have any behavior yet. You will soon. Let me go and break this commit into pieces. I will not deal with foes yet. I will instead first say we have created an entity superclass, and then we can go and add foes. So in the foes create event, we can also event inherited. This is going to inherit our whatever happens to be in the constructor for the or the create event, I should say, because these are game maker objects for the entity class. I can say self.health is going to equal. Is this no longer global? I just typed that out and then instantly remembered that used to be a global that was like built in, but it appears that it is not anymore. That is very nice. Usually I have to correct to something like self.hp if I want to actually do a health variable, but I guess that's been removed. Very nice. All right, streamlining game maker, one obsolete global at a time. This can be, let's say, 4. And then on damage equals a function which takes a bullet and we can say self.health minus equals bullet.damage if self.health is less than or equal to 0, instance destroy, and we will be removed from the game. Bullets probably are going to need a damage value. Let's call it 1 for now. And this should allow foes to take damage from bullets, except it's not going to because I haven't actually called this code anywhere. Okay, entity in the entity superclass, the collision, and the question is, do I even remember how collision in GameMaker works? Collision with bullet, self.damage other.id. On damage is what I called it, and that should allow when a bullet hits an entity, it will fire its on damage method. If the player runs into their own bullets, nothing will happen because the player's on damage method is currently an empty function. Foes, when they run into a bullet, they will take damage, and I will expand that in a little while to eliminate friendly fire, but. Okay. Oh, you know what? Okay, so they're being destroyed instantly, and what I should do is, I can either say with bullet instance destroy, or I can just say instance destroy bullet. If you want bullets to have a pierce value, like if you want bullets to be able to affect more than one enemy, it might be a better idea to instead just inform each foe that the bullet has already damaged it and it shouldn't take damage from it continuously. Anyway, so you should take 4 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, perfect. Next, what is next? Bullets damage enemies. That's great. It doesn't really matter what order the completed pile is in, right? I've been adding them to the bottom, but I should probably add them to the top because the bottom is going to scroll out of view. Let's see. So, because it's just annoying me. You know what? Instead of saying move towards point, because this is one of those, like, as some people like to call them, black box game maker functions, let's say the distance to the target is going to be this value. Actually, hang on. I think I can actually do this without an if statement. let's say the var distance to move is going to be the max. No, it's going to be the min of self.movement speed and distance to target. So if the distance to the target is bigger than your movement speed, you're going to only actually move the movement speed. And if the distance to the target is less than the movement speed, you're only going to move that. So you should snap to the mouse position. That should hopefully not cause any issues. Then there's also, similarly, direction to the target. And that is going to be point direction, and that is going to tell us which direction we should move in. And self.x is going to plus equals distance to move times the cosine of direction to target. Self.y minus equals distance to move times the degree sine. What is the hotkey to do that? Stop doing that. Anyway, this should have the player move towards the mouse cursor, and I don't know exactly what the edge cases are that was causing it to jitter around, but it doesn't seem to be doing it anymore. All right, cool. 5 lines of code replacing. I think it was also 5 lines of code. Nope, 5 lines of code replacing 6 lines of code. Alright, that's fun. That's a bug. I could have, like, recorded a bug on here somewhere, but I don't know if it's worth doing that already. Faux behavior. Shoot forwards on a timer. I can definitely do that. I'm going to copy and paste the player shooting code. Let's go down into faux. That's bullet. That's entity. This is faux. In the step event, you do not have a step event to inherit, do you? I'm going to inherit anyway. Like that. We're going to do this, except instead of putting mouse check button in the if statement, I'm just going to put if true in the if statement for now. We want to define last shots time and shots per second as well, the same way that the player does. For the faux, I usually put method definitions at the bottom. And, oh, do I also need bullet spread? Let's do bullet spread while we're at it. It's just going to be very much the same as it was for the player. Okay, if the last shot time, if we should be able to shoot, then we are going to create a bullet. We are going to send it in direction equals 270, which is down on the screen instead of up, so that they don't shoot backwards because the foes are at the top. And we are just assigning the velocity. Okay. Let's see. So these guys should shoot forward automatically on a timer. You just disappeared. Oh, that's right, because you effectively shot yourselves. All right, that's cheerful. Foes can shoot with a question mark. That sort of ties into one of the other objectives, which is bullets don't affect their allies. So I'm in the bullet class. I'm going to create a little variable called self.friendly, and I'm going to assign this to true. And in the faux class, in the entity class, I'm going to create a little variable that is self.friendly, and I'm going to set this to true. Actually, I'll set this to false. And the player is going to override this. The player is friendly. Self.friendly equals true. Also, I guess bullet friendly can default to false as well. And when the player shoots a bullet, shots.friendly is going to equal true. And this is going to allow us to, in the entity class, in the collision event with the bullet, if let's say if self.friendly is true and other.id.friendly, you could technically get away with just saying other.friendly, but I don't really feel like it. So if the player is friendly, or essentially the player is the player, and the bullet that it contacts was shot by the player, then we are going to return and not do anything. We could also say if not friendly and not other.friendly return. We could also say to simplify this expression a little bit, if self.friendly equals other.friendly, so if both the thing that shot the bullet and the bullet itself is friendly, the bullet should not affect the thing on contact, and the reverse is also true. So now we should have foes shooting, and they do not damage each other. They also do not damage me, because I do not have any damage code, but regardless, it works. Alright. Okay. Foe behavior. Shooting forwards on a timer is good. I think the frequency at which they shoot forward is just a little bit fast. Let's tone this down to 4. And run the game. Alright, that's still a little bit fast. Let's say 2 instead. Can we also define our shot velocity? Self.shot velocity is going to equal... what is it here? 10. Let's make the shot velocity 4. Alright. And just before I commit this, I want this to look semi-satisfactory. Okay. That's not bad. Honestly, a basic enemy could probably get away with shooting even less than that, maybe like 1 shot per second, but at that point... yeah. Alright, I like that pace. Again, these are probably the beginner level enemies that I'm working on. Shoot forwards on a timer, that's complete. Thank you. Bullets do not affect their allies, that's complete. Thank you. Let's do the next one. Foe behavior, shoot in 8 directions on a timer. I am going to go and create myself an entity foe. Let's call it radial. And this is going to do something very similar to the basic foe, except it's going to shoot in 8 directions. This is going to inherit from, rather than the entity, this is going to inherit from the foe. And all we're going to do is override a little bit of code. All of this can stay the same. The health, the bullet spread, whatever can stay the same. Actually, bullet spread I'll set to 0 because I want that to be... I don't want any spread on these things. But otherwise, last shot time, shot velocity, all that, that's fine. The damage method, that's fine. Okay. And let's give these a different look. I'm going to make this just a red square. Red. Angry red. And faux radial should probably take this sprite as well. And let's just drop one of these things in the room. Okay. So, in making these things shoot bullets in a radial pattern instead of straightforward, I can var number of shots is going to equal, let's make it 8, and then for var I equals 0, I is less than 360, I plus equals 360 divided by number of shots. This is going to be a for loop that runs essentially every 45 degrees. And inside this for loop, we can create a couple of bullets at the x, y, and self.depth plus 1. Shot velocity is going to be shot velocity. Shot angle is going to be I. And that should do it. So we should have just a foe that shoots bullets in a radial pattern. Nope. You are not doing it. Why are you not doing it? Is this like... what is this? Oh, is it... the event inherited is taking priority, and it's shooting in the event inherited part of the code, and it's not shooting... It's by that time, it's setting the last shot time value and not shooting there. Alright, so we have an enemy that shoots in a radial pattern. That's fun. So I think this is a good time for me to try and think about moving this code to a shot method. In the name of code organization. I'm going to do this for the player as well. Let's see. This is going to get moved to a method called canShoot. And it is just going to return this expression, true or false. So we can say if self.canShoot, then we can move this to a method called shoot. Like this. Okay, and this should work exactly the same as before, just somewhat more modularly. I can probably get rid of the show debug message over here, can't I? Yeah. Players. I could put the canShoot method in the entity superclass, but I don't want to, because this is probably all that canShoot is going to look like for the foes, but for the player, it's probably going to get more elaborate. I'm sorry, it's probably going to get more elaborate. So we can, I can get rid of this if true. That's pretty redundant. That was just a holdover from when you needed to click the mouse button. If self.canShoot, we're going to do this. Okay, and then we really do not need to inherit anything in entity foe radial's step event. We really can just do this. I really can just get rid of the step event. Move this shoot method self.shoot equals function. I really can just move this over here. And this should do exactly the same thing as before. Perfect. All right, excellent. Shooting on a timer. Let's see. Oh, I also could have closed that one. Let's finish that. Let us say... foes damage the player on contact. Do I also have bullets damage? I don't seem to have... Alright, I guess I'll also do the player's damage. So, let's see. Bullet... Player... You should probably have some health value initialized. Self.health is going to equal 10. I'll give you 10 health instead of the 15, or the 4 that the foes have. Self.onDamage equals function, which takes a bullet type. This is going to also look a lot like the foes on damage over like this, but its death routine is going to be a bit different. The death routine is also probably going to be its own method eventually. See, I don't want to instance destroy myself if I run out of health, because I'm going to be testing a lot of things and I'm going to be just sponging a lot of damage and not really caring until later on when we get to things more resembling gameplay. Let me also just put a little draw GUI code, and we're going to draw the player's health. Draw text at 3232. And we're going to draw our player health. And when I get hit... So I can take damage as fast as I want. We're going -1, -2, whatever. I can take damage as fast as I want now. I do not have iframes. I will be getting to iframes. Okay, where was I? I've been recording for almost a half hour. I want to get these last two, or at least these two. Maybe not player getting damaged by the foe on contact, but I want to at least get iframes and player death done in this video before I end it off. Iframes. Let's see. I will define myself a new variable. I'll call the self.iframe time is going to be 0. This is going to be a lot like last shot time in that... let's see. I'll also create another variable, self.iframe duration is... How long should you be invincible on taking damage? Half a second or so? Yeah, half a second sounds... Actually, 1 second might be better for testing. Let's see. On damage, self.iframe time is going to be current time divided by 1,000. And then, can you take damage? This is going to look an awful lot like the can shoot timer countdown. So if iframe time plus self.iframe duration is less than current time divided by 1,000, then we will return and not do anything. I should probably also, let's also instance destroy the bullet too. I can instance destroy the bullet and then continue to reference it later on in the method because the object won't actually be destroyed until the end of the step. You are complaining about some number of mismatched parentheses. All right, there we go. So let's see. If I'm going to pay attention to when I take damage. Nope, I am not taking damage at all. That's cool. Just sponging bullets. That's fun. Oh, there should be a greater than in this case. All right, flipping a sign. I'm trying to get hit by 2 bullets at once, and in situations where I think I am, it looks like I'm only taking 1 damage per second, so that's good. Okay. This is more or less the timestamp of the next time you are able to take damage, and if it is not yet that time, then you'll just kick out of the on-damage method early. Let's say player iframes, invincibility frames, for those who don't know what that stands for, and I will just create a ghosty version of the player, and that is going to I'll make it a grayer version to indicate visually that you cannot take damage. Let me use layer tricks here. Let me make this black and then make it like 30%. How about 25%? No, that's a little much. 50%? 50% black? Okay. A common thing to do when it comes to invincibility frames is to make the player like flicker. I don't know if I want to do that. I think it'll be... I think it'll look better to simply draw the player as a... with an iframe sprite or blend it to a different color or something like that. Could do that through code later, but for now I'll just use a different sprite. Let's see, this is going to need to go in the step event as well. But instead of returning from the method self.sprite index, if this condition is true, you are still invincible. This is going to be sprite player iframes, else self.sprite index is just going to be sprite player. Okay, you also kind of like, you can see the sprite changing. You kind of start the level out invincible too, which is fine. Doesn't really affect gameplay because foes won't start doing anything for about a second, but anyway. Iframe duration of 1, I think that's actually not bad. Next. Player invincible. I might take this expression and turn it into its own method too. Sure, let's do that. We are going to return this. And then in the step event, we'll check that function call, that method call, instead of doing the expression again. All right, next, let's just do player death. I will do, as I said before, show debug message so that it just spits out in the console and it doesn't infinitely show messages on the in message boxes. And then I will put commented out instance destroy later. When you run out of health, self.die. Foes can have a version of this as well. Later on, I will add to this so that they do things like give you score, have a chance of dropping a power, something like that. Anyway, let's test it. So I'm going to feed a couple bullets into you. You died. I'm going to try and run out of health to see if anything pops out into the console, and I guess I'll just park myself here and wait. 3, 2, 1, and I died in the console. Ad infinitum. Okay. That'll do it for today. On contact, I'll have the foes damage the player next time because I think I am done for today. This is actually going well. I don't know if I'll record the next couple of videos soon, or if I'll actually wait until I'm ready to start posting the videos now that I've done a few of them and have some things to talk about in the Bombardier postmortem. But let's see. I think I'll plan out what I want to do in episode 3. Pickups sound kind of fun. Let's do pickups next time. So I will create a base pickup object. Enemy classes have an array of pickups that they can drop, and odds. When enemies die, they may drop pickups. Restore HP is easy. Damage shield is probably easy. More damage is probably easy. And the different bullet types I'll get to later. I may do more. I may get to implementing the different bullet types via pickup effects later on, but I'm only going to count on doing these. These cards are worth a decent amount of points. I feel like 10 points for restoring HP is a little bit much. That might have been a little bit of an overestimation of how long this takes. So, this is where we are now. I'll try, at the end of every video, to put what I want to do next time in the in-progress board. No guarantee that it'll actually get done if I decide later that something else is more important, but that's what I'm going to aim for. Let's see, if I am 7% through the points, still on track for about 30 videos for this series. That's cool. Anyway, that's going to do it for me for today. Let me go and mark this as 0.2. Did I 0.2? Oh, it already exists. It just took a minute to show up. If you want the code for this, look for the GitHub repository down in the video description. I try to post about 2 game dev videos a week. One Let's Make a Game and one tutorial. If you want to contribute towards these videos being made, look for the Patreon down also in the video description. You can see some fun things like your name in the credits, hear yourself getting a shout out at the end. You can see a preview of my future plans periodically. Regardless, I hope you all found this interesting, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Zenjamin, Then Nothing Happened, Squarecrow, Sindra Larson, Posho, Gunnar Clovis, Game Maker, Emily Koyo, Edward Holt, DJ Gibbles, and Army Umbrester for supporting these videos. If you want to see your name in the credits or hear yourself shouted out at the end like this, head on over to the Patreon page down in the video description to join the fun.